The resolution to deny ABS-CBN's franchise application is hereby adopted. Pursuant to Section 49 of the Rules of the House of Representatives, all House bills and House resolutions relative to the grant or renewal of the franchise application of ABS-CBN Corporation are hereby laid on the table. The committee secretary is hereby directed to inform all the authors of the bills and resolutions of the decision of the committee in writing.
Ang malayang pamamahayag. Tiniyak naman ng Justice and Court Reporters Association o JUCRA na hindi nito bibitawan ng laban para sa free press at mga naaapi. Idiniin naman ng National Union of Journalists of the Philippines na hindi ang kagustuhan ng Kongreso, kundi ang kagustuhan ng taong bayan ang sa huli mananaig. Ang Komisyon ng Human Rights tinitignan ang pinatay na ABS-CBN franchise na pag-aalis din sa karapatan ng publiko. Maging taga-akademya, nagpaabot rin ng pakikiisa sa ABS-CBN. Ang De La Salle University at Kolehiyo de San Juan de Letran, pinailawan ng ilaw na pula, berde at asul ang kanilang gusali na kulay ng ABS-CBN. Ang mga guro ng FEU Department of Communication, tiniyak ang pagsama sa mga laban para igiit ang press freedom. Ang Philippine Association...
Mas gusto ko nga na nag-hearing tayo on there para makita natin kung fair sila o may bias. Kung ang pinapalabas lang nila, yung mga punto nila, or pinapalabas din ba nila ang mga punto na laban sa kanila, di ba? But again, that's not for me to decide. That was my personal view that I tried to push. But again, this process will make sure that walang saling pusa, walang moro-moro sa usapan mahalaga sa bayan. Hindi po tayo pwede magmoro-moro sa issue na to. At lalong-lalong na pong hindi pwedeng walang saling pusa. Sa hearing na dadating, lahat ng gusto magsalita, gawan natin ang paraan. Kay national artist po siya or budding artist, kay isang senior legislator po o isang gusto palang tumakbo sa 2022. Kung siya po ay expert tax lawyer o siya po ay isang accountant na gusto palang mag-aral ng batas, gagawan natin ang paraan marinig ang kanilang opinion. As I have said time and time again, the hearings must be fair, impartial, comprehensive, and thorough. All voices must be heard, and all issues for and against will be discussed. As we have seen yesterday, this will require a lot of time that we do not have, and so there will be sacrifice on our part if we hope to finish this without delay.
Defend press freedom! No to shutdown! No to shutdown! Defend press freedom! Defend press freedom! No to shutdown! Defend press freedom! No to shutdown! Defend press freedom! No to shutdown! No to shutdown! Defend press freedom! Defend press freedom! No to shutdown! No to shutdown! Defend press freedom! No to shutdown! No to shutdown!
Oh, good evening sa inyo lahat. Alright. Si Atty. Ahmed, gusto daw niya fresh na fresh siya pag lumabas dito. Kaya nagsusuklay pa. Pagbigyan natin ng konting oras. At good evening muna sa inyo. Ganda yung ating intro ngayon. Kasi nakakagulat naman talaga yung mga balita ngayong araw na to, di ba? I was actually surprised when they said na tinanggal sa schedule ng Congress yung pagdinig tungkol sa anong tawag nito? Privilege speech ni Marcoleta. Have you watched the privilege speech? So, good evening, Van Torres. Good evening, Rocky. Okay. Kayo kasi, most of you did not know me way back in 2020. Look at this. Finally, na-download ko na yung aking page. I wrote this in June 5, 2020. I cannot find it anymore in my page. Naririnig ba ako? Wait lang ha. Okay. So, way back June 2020, I said, for the longest time, I've kept my silence. Business interests are behind the campaigns to use media to quell the population's hunger for information. Broadcast and telecommunications, these are the most pervasive tools in the business. Print is an anecdotal player these days. You think it's just an ABS? No. You will be surprised that behind this ABS-CBN franchise issue are many banks, malls, and companies you never imagined would have a stake in it. PLDT? Yes, they may appear a competitor, but don't be surprised. You will soon see ABS-CBN programs in their stations soon. Not just them, watch out for these unknown networks too, and many others. For all we know, ABS-CBN owns them too. Next. Good evening. So, why did we start with that? Because today, yesterday actually, Marcoleta delivered that 10-minute privilege speech, and mukhang nagkakagulo dun sa Kongreso. There are three resolutions that are for investigation. Two about the merger. First, yung kay Marcoleta earlier was about the reinvestigation yung mga nabitin na mga kwento or mga nabitin na mga usapin noong franchise hearing. What I just showed you kanina as our introduction was posted in my page on the second or third day after the franchise was rejected. We've always been taking the position that Alan Peter Cayetano, the Speaker of the House at the time, he was also the one who pushed that bill, which was passed surreptitiously and hurriedly in two readings in one day, na later on ay binawi nila. Okay? Why was that a prophetic daw yung statement? Yes po. Pwede nga sana pala yung aking hinulaan nun is a lotto number, But this was not a surprise. Alright. Sana ba ito si Atty. Ahmed? Tagal naman mag-anak. Alright. Okay. I feel looking forward for a good discussion. Yup. And then, wait. Nasaan ba si I'm waiting for, who's that guy? Kokoy ba? What's his name again? That character. What's his name? Because dahil sa kanya to kaya tayo napunta dito. Kiko Abaya. Kiko Abaya, you're free to join us. Anyone actually who wants to join us tonight, I will put a link, okay? Anyone who wants to disagree or agree? Alright. Okay, so there's the link. Okay, anyone? It's there. You copy that and paste that in your browser if you want to join me or join Ahmed later. And we will allow you to disagree, whatever you want to do. There he is, the man of the hour. Video please, Attorney A. Okay. Good evening ka muna. You add yourself to the stream when you're ready. Nag-intro
Good evening po sa inyo lahat.
Hinaan ko lang yung audio kasi mapapagalitan ako.
Hello po, good evening sa inyo lahat.
Go. Mapapagalitan na naman
Ano
ako.
nangyayari?
Yun,
Bakit ka papagalitan?
Hindi, kasi nagmo-music na naman ako Nagbe-bed na naman ako. Gagalit kapag ano.
Hindi ako magagalit.
Pati yan si Rocky sumasama pati sa ano mo, galit mo. Turn off that audio. Turn off that audio. Okay. Now.
Hindi yan si Rocky kasi ano talaga yan bugnutin yan.
Okay.
Pinatay lang ako na ipit.
Yep. So at the time, let's just review, no? In my page, you can actually see a lot of entries also in Luminous on these dates from May 26 to July. You will see opinions from me, from Attorney Ahmed, no, Attorney Trixie, and others
May
we have carried.
pagkapropeta na to si Uncle JP.
Prophetic ba ang tawag dito? Prophetic
May
o
pagkapropeta.
prophetic. Di ba?
Propitic.
Prophetic.
Propitic.
Ito ba mga sinasabi ko dito? Manok na pula. Kimcho. Ano pa ba mga pinagsasabi natin dito? Pati si Jesus sinasabi ko na dito. No? Rushing a new law versus terrorism. Ito pala yung mga sumunod na mga issue. No? Terrorism. Actually, so yun. So marami. Mabigat. Okay. And this one is the first issue about that they discussed in Congress. All right. The citizenship. Pero hindi yan yung topic natin ngayon. Ang topic natin ngayon, attorney, is Presidential Decree 576-A. And for that, bigyan mo ng intro, attorney, kasi I'll just open the site. Bigyan mo ng intro about 576A. Kaya nga, I'll just open the 576A.
Ladies
Remove
and
ko muna
gentlemen.
Hindi. Huwag mo naman sila lokohin.
EO ba yan o RA?
Presidential decree.
EO?
What is a presidential decree muna?
Ladies and gentlemen, PD 576A. Ayan na. Introduce na.
What is a presidential
Ang
decree?
PD ay tinatawag na presidential decree. Presidential decree ay yan yung mga batas o body of laws, okay, that were enacted by President Ferdinand Edrelin Marcos Sr. by himself as the with the force of the legislature's power to enact laws and with the force of law until now. Wala. Kasi merong decision ng ating Supreme Court na nagsasabi na so long as those laws, yung PDs, do not violate the Constitution, do not abuse rights and impair obligations, they should be allowed to subsist. At marami pang ibang rason kung bakit nandito pa yan. Pero mainly, ang questions kasi dyan, ang attack kasi dyan ay dahil paano naging valid yan? Isang tao lang ang gumawa niyan. Well, kung isang tao lang ang gumawa niyan sa panahon ng demokrasya, sa panahon ng regular working of the Democratic Republican Republic, siguro illegal yan. Pero at that time, there was martial law and the Congress, the legislature, both houses ba? Di ba Congress lang yung inabolish niya?
Both.
Senate meron pa rin.
The entire legislature.
Both houses ba? Tama. And then I put up assembly and National Assembly. Yeah,
Later,
so wala nang
1979.
legislature, all powers consolidated in him. So siya lang din ang, so valid pa rin yun dahil at that time there was no representative and Republican Democratic state. There was some state in martial law. So valid pa rin daw yun sabi ng Supreme Court, which I agree. For most of the PDs, I agree that they should subsist. Kaysa naman gumawa na naman uli ng batas similar na ganon din ang effect. I-maintain na lang yun sila. Okay.
And then,
Ladies and gentlemen, PD 576A.
magsimula muna tayo sa 576 para medyo maganda yung intro, no? So what does 576 contain? Okay, 576 creates or authorizes the operation of private groups to regulate the content in broadcast and in print. Okay. So what are these groups? Okay. First, okay, whereas certain conditions existed in the country at the time of the promulgation of Proclamation 1081, this is the proclamation of martial law, which had necessitated the temporary government control and supervision of mass media, which is, as we have discussed, contrary to the principles of freedom of the press. You know? And since the abolition of the Mass Media Council, ito yung nag-control nun. And the creation instead of the Media Advisory Council, various sectors of mass media have shown capability for self-regulation and internal discipline. What are you doing? What are you looking for with your glasses? Okay. Whereas the prevailing national situation has become appropriate for taking further steps towards removal of government participation in policy determination and news dissemination activities of mass media. Di ba nakikita nyo? No? Yung sinasabi nilang the entire martial law years was ano ba yun, repressed yung buong media. Inaamin that there was a need. Pangalawa, in 2 years' time, tinanggal. Okay? So I, Ferdinand Marcos, President of the Philippines, by powers vested in me by the Constitution to hereby decree. So ang ginawa dito is, una, print media and broadcast media. For this purpose, this is of this decree. Mass media shall be divided into two groups, print media and broadcast media. Print media includes all newspapers, periodicals, magazines, journals, publications, and advertising therein, and billboards, neon signs, and the like. And broadcast media includes radio and television broadcasting in all their aspects and all cinematographic or radio promotions and advertising. Print media and broadcast media groups are hereby authorized to organize and determine the composition of a body or council within each group, which shall be responsible for instituting and formulating systems of self-regulation and internal discipline within its own ranks. So the important aspect here is self-regulation. And here it says there, its regulatory council or body shall be responsible for the evaluation of the ethics and standards of excellence of mass media in all its phases within its group. Okay. This is as far as anong tawag nito? This is as far as content regulation is concerned. Now here, section 4. No mass media activity shall be undertaken by any person or entity in the Philippines without first being registered with the regulatory council or body concerned. Take note, which shall issue certificates of registration on all applicants qualified under its respective rules and regulations, provided that each council shall have the authority to suspend or cancel such certificates of registration for such cause or causes which as may be provided in the rules, and the existence of which each council or body shall have duly determined, provided further that no certificate of registration shall be granted in any manner under any condition to any of those engaged in mass media which were, in September 1972, ordered closed and or sequestered upon promulgation of 1081 by the order of the President or Secretary of National Defense. And who is he referring to again? Sino nakakaalala? Sino tong sequestered? Nagputol-putol ba ako?
Putol-putol yung aking hindi kita naintindihan.
Okay. So now, did you is my
Ako nga
audio
ang
clear with
ako
you?
nga nagpuputol-putol. Nakikinig na ako dito.
Okay. What are these councils? Okay. For broadcast, it's the KBP. All right? And then, okay, nagtatanong ka, what councils is this recognizing? Okay. For broadcast, it is the KBP. And for the print, it is the I think the National Union of Journalists
National
of the
Press Club.
Philippines and the National Press Club. Dalawa kasi yan sila eh. They ended up to become two in the press. Okay. That is as far as Section 3 is concerned. They are going to fix standards, promulgate rules. But Section 4, who remembers this?
Section 5.
Okay. Section 5 also says, all existing permits for the operation of mass media on the date this decree takes effect shall continue to be valid unless otherwise suspended or withdrawn for cause by the council or body concerned. Okay, who remembers who were these stations that were sequestered? No one remembers. We discussed this already, but okay, let's review. This is a proclamation. Proclamation ba? Or letters of instruction? Wait Marcelo. Number 1-A. We have it. And the winner is kayo talaga nakalimutan nyo na kaagad. Yun nakuha ni pinagpaparadyo talaga Okay. Sige, nasa na siya nasa na siya whoever what's that guy what's that guy? There you go. Pursuant to Presidential Decree number 1081, dated September 21, 1972, and my capacity as Commander-in-Chief of all Armed Forces of the Philippines. And consonant to the instructions number 1, dated September 22, 1972, and considering that ABS-CBN Network and Associated Broadcasting Network, ABC, Channel 2 and Channel 5, whose owners, principal, officers, and key personnel are engaged in subversive activities against the government, and it's duly authorized. Come on, read it. Okay? You are hereby ordered. Okay? You are hereby ordered to forthwith sequester the ABS-CBN Broadcasting Corporation and the TV and radio network and facilities owned and operated by the Associated Broadcasting Corporation, which include radio stations DZ, MT, DZ, TM, and DZ, WS, and sister radio stations in Davao City, Cebu City, Lawag City, and Dagupan City, as well as Channel 5 and its sister TV stations in the cities of Davao and Cebu. Hindi po kasama ang GMA, RPN, and ABC. Okay? Marcos was very specific in having these two stations sequestered, two networks, and in PD number 576 says no mass media activity shall be undertaken by any person in or entity in the Philippines without first being registered with the regulatory council or body concerned. Okay? Provided further that no certificate of registration shall be granted in any manner or under any condition to any of those engaged in mass media which were in September 1972 ordered closed or sequestered upon promulgation of Proclamation 1081 by order of the President or the Secretary of National Defense. Why are they on the air?
Binalik.
Were this repealed? Nope, because this is still the basis for the KBP's existence. This has never been questioned nor declared by the Supreme Court
May
as
nagbalik
unlawful.
sa kanila ng kanilang
Meron akong
may
isang
nagbalik yata
stream.
sa kanila ng kanilang mga istasyon.
Iyon ay isang pamumuhunan sa crypto. Ito ay naging isang matagumpay na kwento.
Let's iban mo to si Raul
ikaw,
ng babae.
Shell Adams, you're wasting our time. Huwag mo
African
iban,
yan,
kaya mo lang
African
yan siya.
na troll yan.
Huwag mo yun siyang
Sige, para meron
pabayaan
tayo.
mo yun siya.
Hindi
Pabayaan
ko
mo yun
ibaba,
siya.
dyan lang yan siya.
Alright. Bakit parang tahimik kayo dyan sa sequestration na yan? Didn't you know where you're going to? Asan na ba yung matapang na kikoy? And 5768. Now, this is our topic for tonight, 5768. Sabi, again, lalaki natin.
Ang liliit.
Ang lilit.
Malaki
Lalaki
yun.
natin.
Hindi ko mabasa.
Okay?
Yan.
Better or
Parin.
better? Unoy natin.
Bahala na. Bahala na.
Subukan ko muna. Buka. Ayaw bumuka. Rocky, ayaw bumuka, oh. Buka. Sobrahan. Oh,
Hello, good evening sa inyong lahat. Mga hindi ko pa nababasa.
ayan. Alright.
Ay, maganda,
Section
maganda,
1.
maganda, maganda.
Sino yun? Ay, hindi pa rin. Putol. Ano ba yan? Yun. Okay. Section 1. No radio or television channel may obtain a franchise unless it has sufficient capital on the basis of equity for its operations for at least 1 year, including purchase of equipment. Wala silang problema dyan. Number 2.
Financial capacity.
Number 2, sir. Ano ibig sabihin nito, sir?
Yan yung technical capacity.
Napapansin nyo, merong mga bills ngayon sa Congress na sinasabi na i-require daw yung mga istasyon na may mga congressman na nagfa-file sa Congress ng bills that seek to force radio stations or TV stations to allocate 1 hour, I think. 1 hour a day for public service free
For
of charge.
public service.
Obviously, these
Dito yan
congressmen
galing.
are not reading. No, they're not reading that this law is still existing law and there's already
2
a
hours.
law that requires 2 hours. Roll! Okay? Public service refers to news, educational or cultural presentations, other programs, blah, blah, blah. Section 3. No person or corporation may own, operate, or manage more than one radio or television station in one municipality or city, nor more than 5 a.m. and 5 FM radio station, nor more than 5 television channels in the entire country. And no
15
radio
lahat.
or television station shall be utilized by any single interest group to disseminate information or otherwise influence the public or the government to serve or support the ends of such group. Nasaan si Kiko? Yan, sino? Saan yung matalino na gusto makipag-ano? Now, let's see.
Kiko, ayun.
Kiko, yung matalino. Has this law been challenged in the Supreme Court? Yes, it has. But has this been declared unconstitutional, void, or anything? Nope, it hasn't.
Ilang beses na ito kinontes mga 6 na yata, 7.
Maraming beses na itong kinus siya. But no corporation has ever been barred from operating more than this. And
But wait.
Not
Basahin mo muna yung punishment, yung penalty nito
Okay.
pagka lumampas siya.
Any person or corporation who owns more than the number of radio or television stations authorized in the preceding section shall divest itself of the excess stations or channels. Okay? Any excess shall be sold to the Bureau of Telecommunications, which is now the NTC. Okay, so there's a remedy.
Section 5.
Failure to divest, as provided in the foregoing section, shall, in addition to penalties provided in Section 6, subject the person or corporation guilty of such person to cancellation of the franchise of every excess station and to confiscation of the station and its facilities without compensation.
Magkaiba yan sa sequestration, confiscation yan. Magkaiba yan sila sa sequestration.
Doesn't this finish
Pwede
all
pa rin
the
mag-confiscate.
talk
Ayun.
in Congress? All of the debate, all of the all whatever. This is a law
It should.
that the NTC has not implemented.
Implemented. Ever.
Mahiya ka naman. Mahiya ka naman, Cordoba.
Ay, na-implement nila to.
Which
Yung
one?
first at saka second sections.
Yes. Ito kasi yung laging nadadamay sa mga kaso
Financial
about the
capacity.
franchise, yes, and the requirement for franchise. Yeah, this one
Yep.
figures in the This law is always used.
One and
This was also used in the decision that was made against the ABS-CBN. Itong pinaka-latest na ABS-CBN case, this was also cited. 5768. Nico? Nick? Manghingi mo lang ako ng tubig, ha?
Yan yun, mga friends. Pero ang hindi ko maintindihan, itong bandang, hindi ko pala ito ma-scroll, no?
Just tell me what to do. Tell me what to do, what you want to do.
No person or number 3 muna, saglit. Section 3. No person or corporation may own, operate, or manage more than one radio station. Okay, isang radio station or TV station in one municipality. Sa bawat municipality or city, dapat kung meron kang radio station dyan, isa lang. Either AM or FM. Alright? At saka kung meron kang TV dyan, isa lang din. Isang TV station lang din dyan. Bawat municipality or city. Tapos, no more than 5 AM and 5 FM radio station, that's 10. Okay, no more than 5 television, so that's 15 stations in the entire country. Dapat 15 stations lang. 5 of them would be AM, 5 of them would be FM, and 5 of them would be TV stations. Hindi yan pwedeng yung AM at saka FM namin, pinagsama namin cumulative. So kahit na 7 lang yung AM, 3 yung FM, at saka 5 yung TV. Hindi pwedeng 5 yung TV, 6 yung TV stations, 4 yung FM stations, saka 5 yung AM. Hindi pwedeng ganon. Tigli-5 lang yan sila sa buong bansa.
No.
Pero yung pinakahuli, ano yan, state.
Which is pinakahuli, sir? Yung?
No, sinasabi mo.
Okay, no. Ito kasi sabi ni mukhang ayaw i-recognize yung mga PD kasi Marcos. No. If you
that's not the reason.
If you read the decisions in broadcast cases decided by the Supreme Court, this particular presidential decree is always upheld as the basis for the requirement for any entity to first get a congressional franchise before they can operate. Okay.
After the franchise, meron pang requirement doon to get
CPC
permit
from the NTC. But the first step
Certificate
is the
of,
franchise.
CPC
Is here. There. Okay?
naman ako.
Yan. Okay? Bakit now ba? Okay, sige. Tingnan natin ang rasyonale. Okay? Whereas the President of the Philippines is empowered under the Constitution to review and approve franchise for public utilities. Whereas it has been observed that some public utilities, especially radio and television stations, have a tendency toward monopoly and ownership. an operation to such an extent that a region or section of the country may be covered by any number of such broadcast stations, all or most of which are owned, operated, or managed by one person or corporation. You see, that is a danger. Whereas radio is the chief vehicle of dissemination of information, being the source, as surveys have shown, of 86% of all information for the public, and television is becoming similarly pervasive. Now it's reversed. That 86% is now television. But still, the basis here is that broadcast is a pervasive medium, whereas the deep penetration that radio and television does make into the public consciousness gives them the responsibility of assisting the government to promote and safeguard the public welfare. Whereas on account of the limited number of frequencies available for broadcasting in the Philippines, it is necessary to regulate the ownership and operation of radio and television stations and provide measures that would enhance quality and viability in broadcasting and to help serve public interest.
Tingnan mo to.
Oh,
No,
wait.
basahin natin yan.
For free TV lang po ba yung Section 3? Paano po yung ABS-CBN na may isang
Magandang tanong.
channel sa cable? Would you like to answer?
Sagot.
The difference?
You answer.
Hindi naman. Ikaw naman.
Ikaw na mag-answer niyan dahil cable yan eh.
Okay, it's like this.
Hindi ko alam yung cable eh.
The difference between cable and broadcast is this. You see the same thing. It's still on your TV. But the cable, broadcast, main difference is, for cable, you pay
Transmission.
for it. You pay for it. And it is transmitted to you via private line, which you're paying for monthly. The option to pay or not to pay is yours. But broadcast is different. Broadcast is free and it can enter any household, anywhere within its service area. So its tendency to be able to influence anyone, even without any money, is
there.
is there.
Present.
Okay. Whereas cable, you paid for it. That's your choice whether you want to watch it or not. Di ba? Para niyang yung pinag-usapan natin before na newspapers, regulated siya, but as you go into paid magazines, hindi na masyadong regulated kasi binayaran mo na yan. And then you go into very expensive journals, scientific journals, lalo na siyang hindi masyadong regulated doon. There will be more free speech there because yan ay bayad mo na information. LT,
Okay,
sabi
tama
ni LT. You know, sections 3 to 5.
Section 3 to 5. Yan yung binasa natin.
Kaya nga po.
Diba? Malinaw yan, di ba? Malinaw ba sa inyo yan?
Okay. So why did we watch?
Nung panahon nung nire-review ng
Hearing.
Congress, yung PICBN franchise, noong 2021 ba? 2020.
2020.
Last part ng 2020, nagsisisigaw na kami nito. Ito, 5768, pinagsisigaw na namin doon sa Tambayan.
Dito.
Pinagsisigaw na namin.
Okay. The truth is, at that time, okay, yung circulation ng mga information na to, yung reach, maabot na ng close to 10 million pa din, no? Ahmed, no? Maabot na ng close to 10 million. And when we were already beginning to shout this out, Section 576A, and Marcoleta was ready to pounce on them on this one, comes Cayetano stopping the whole hearing. Yun yung pinlay ko kanina. Sa simula, si Cayetano nagsasabi kahit sino, kahit budding lawyer na gustong magsalita, ay papayagan natin magsalita dito. Free to, ganun, open tayo, ganun. And then, di ba? May nilagay ako doon. And then, biglang pinotol. It requires so much time that we do not have. We do not want to discuss this because these are still good law. Congress doesn't want to discuss that. And there you have it. By the way, if you like this, ilagay tayo ng ating GCash. Today is August
naalala mo,
17.
naalala mo yon nung tatambayan tayo.
Yup.
Umaabot ng 16,000. Pagkatapos pa lang ng tambayan, may 16,000 views na kami.
Yeah.
Kutya ngayon, kung merong 1,000, masaya na kami.
Yes, and yun, alam mo yung ano, yung mga content na to, pag tiningnan mo yung mga reach nito, maabot na ng 10 million. Hala. So they were already seeing that 1/10 of the population of the Philippines is already aware of our kalokohan. If they get aware about this, wala na. We will die. Not only that, marami pang iba. Ano ba sinasabi ng narrowcast and broadcast? Yes, that's true. That's true. Narrowcast and broadcast. Okay. And it's not free. Yun. So, who else will be hit by this? ABC. And then you go back again.
Lahat sila.
Not all. ABC, you have their GMA, you have Globe Telecoms and their radio network. Do you know that Globe owns a radio network? Did you know that? Globe also owns radio network. Radio network. Oh, yan Yung natutuwa po kayo at gusto nyo kaming pasayahin din, yan yung ating Gcash. Osing, ano masasabi mo dito, Osing? Ba't speechless ka? May nabasa ako sa IRR about digital TV na pwedeng magdagdag ng additional channels aside sa legacy channels. Anong insight ninyo? Ikaw, Attorney, may insight ka? Wala nang insight si Attorney Ahmed. Umiikot-ikot siya. Okay. Let me answer you. In digital TV, this doesn't talk about channels. Okay? This talks about this doesn't talk about the subdivision of channels. Okay? In digital TV, let's say for example, you get channel 47, you have the opportunity to put there 8 different programs within channel 47. It's just like saying radio and it has a mono and stereo version. Okay, so instead of just having a left and right, you have different channels running, and your radio or your TV now is able to distinguish the programs that you can play in each channel. There's no problem with that. You own all of those channels, fine, but you can only have one channel transmitting in each city. So if you have one channel and you get to air 8 different programs in that channel with the digitalization, that doesn't go against this one. If you follow this, there is no conflict. That change in technology doesn't really affect or invalidate the concepts here. The importance here is the opportunity for the entire broadcast industry in the country to be owned by diverse networks, so that when you have this mix of ownerships, mix of editorial decisions, you will not have any single voice telling everyone what is the issue. In the sense that you cannot raise an issue, an issue like the First Philippine Holdings making a deal with the BIR and silencing it, and no one can make a noise out of it. You see? Kasi if somebody else owned the networks, it can become maingay in Visayas if they catch it. But now, even in Visayas, nobody can even make an issue out of it. The issue that we raised here, because we no longer have any other voice except their voice in the entire country. Yun ang ating problema. You know that sugar thing that we talked about? The sugar thing that we talked about. Why is Midsubiri so strong and alam mo yun, kumbaga,
Shock.
comfortable to play dumb the other day, because he knows that that was supposed to be buried like the way they buried the issue on the compromise between BIR and the First Philippine Holdings. How? Didn't you notice that only Pangilinan Group news agencies carried it? No one else, even Rappler, has no mention of those issues in April of 2022. Rappler has everything there. Meron nga sila. So when Rappler carries it and the others don't, that means it's a Lopez good for Lopez news. And when the Pangilinan Group does it too and they don't carry it, so where is GMA's walang kinikilingan, walang pinoprotektahan stance here? I don't know. Because when Pangilinan does it, they go silent. When Lopez does it, they also go silent.
Tayo,
Parang kami,
hindi tayo
silent.
hindi tayo nagsasilent, kaso lang 10
Wala
na
tayo.
nakikinig sa atin.
Oh, yan. You only have a few people listening to us because, yun, walang mga istasyon na iba ang may-ari. Yan ang problema. Lahat kinikilingan. Krengking lang.
Lahat pinoprotektahan.
Yan Yun, good evening from Cebu. Kayo ba sa Cebu? May natira pa ba kayo dyan na network na sa inyo? Di ba? Anong network ang taga Cebu? Yung nag-iisang istasyon ni Serge Rimonde, buhay pa ba? Yung DY what? DY hindi ko maalala. Di ba? Ino-operate pa ba siya ni Mrs. Beautiful Wife? Whatever. Yun. Serge Rimonde has one in Cebu. Sino pa? DY the SVDs they own. And other than those two, sino na may-ari dyan? Lahat puro ng mga national networks. Yun, magkakabakas yung mga yan. Kaya nga, paano mo ibabakas kung maraming may-ari? Di ba? All of them will be you cannot be able to control if there's so many owners all over the country with balance. Ito yung tinatawag na balance of power sa geopolitics. Balance of power, which we don't have. And because of that, you also have an issue here of regulatory capture. No? Regulatory capture ng ating kadalang-kalang na NTC. Kaya you never see me parang alam mo yun, clapping hands when NTC says, titignan natin yung violation ng ABS-CBN. Violation nyo kaya, sir? Bakit hindi nyo ito pinapa-implement? Sino nga bang gumawa nito? Di ba yung tatay ng presidente natin ngayon? Hindi kaya ito nakakahiya sa presidente na yung batas na ginawa ng kanyang ama ay hindi ini-implement ng kanyang commissioner ng National Telecommunications Commission. Regulatory
Yan yung may
capture.
regulatory capture na. Basahin nyo.
Yan ang bait naman natin. Alright, matagal na, opo, pero meron siyang istasyon hanggang ngayon at nagbo-broadcast pa. Yun. Pero himala kung independent pa rin yan. Yes. I cannot remember the name of his wife. She's my friend. The wife of Serge.
Marites.
Marit. Yep. Marit. How is Marit? She's a very nice person. Yun. And even Serge was a nice person. He was a small-time owner of a broadcast facility. One single station. The problem is, who will control social media? Like fact-checking. It's maybe you're challenging Bongbong Marcos to actually yes because his father failed to include social media, no, because obviously his father was not like me who's a prophet, no, who can see the future. His father only saw broadcast and print. He was just a normal person, not like me. Anyway, just like this, Bongbong can actually amend this to include a social media council or something like that. Di ba? Pwede yun. You know.
Yun nga yung
Hello.
yun nga yung sinabi ni ano ni Attorney Trixie nung simula.
Guwapo.
Kaso lang ang daming umapila.
Wapo. Yeah, DYLA. Yes. It's called DYLA. Tama. Yeah, I know. Will control social media. Di po niyo nabasa ang first statement po. Which is first statement? Ano yung statement?
Sino ang kokontrol ng social media?
Oh, nabasa ko nga. Sabi mo.
Ang kokontrol ng social media ay ang may-ari ng platform. Yun, wala nang iba. Yun lang.
That will fall here. Huh? Self-regulation. Where is that? Okay, whereas, okay. Mass media have shown capability for self-regulation and internal discipline within the ranks and have demonstrated responsibility for maintaining standards for professional conduct and excellence. I think that covers it. No? Huh? Yan yung
Ano
sinasabi
kasi
nito.
yan ang ano kasi niyan is this law initially covers free to air. Yung social media, unless there is a free to air bandwidth sa digital TV and radio, ay hindi yan papasok squarely dito sa batas na to dahil that's privately owned facilities like yung server, yung mga ano ba tawag dyan? Mainframe computers, mga ganyan. Halimbawa, yung Facebook, sila yung nagpapatakbo niyan they don't share that with anyone. They don't give franchise for operators here in the Philippines. Everywhere there is they are operated by Facebook only.
Ayun. Tama naman siya. Tama naman si Try 123, no? Today, people are shying away from mainstream media and TV. Yes? And your concern is who will
regulate.
Who will regulate? Yun. Okay. Yun yung
That is assuming that that question is assuming, including the first statement, assumes that it is a good thing that we shy away from broadcast media. Because it is not. It is not a good thing that we shy away from free-to-air broadcast media. It's wrong. We should be going back to those media. But since there is hegemony there, now the only way for us to freely speak and express is nowhere than social media, which is even more restrictive. And now that the pluralist elitists people are also clamping down on us on social media, all that is left for us is to fight back. Yan yun.
May imprisonment pala to. Pag hindi sumunod.
Meron nga. Kaya nga, di ba? Sabi ko sa iyo, basahin mo muna ang penalties.
Hala! Ayun pala. Yun.
Ano nangyari? Naghahang na talaga ako. Ng todo-todo.
Hindi ka naghahang. No, I'm just No, I'm not speaking and not talking because I just find it so annoying. No, how the NTC can get away with the responsibility of implementing this law. Di ba napakalaking insulto nito sa presidente natin ngayon? Kung ikaw ang nakaupo at ikaw ang nag-approve nung dagdag ng mga istasyon lagpas sa 5, okay, let me tell you something. Before 1999 or 2000, this was being followed. You look at the history of networks in the Philippines before the turn of the century, at the turn of the millennium. Even ABS-CBN or Channel 7, they own only that many stations or close to this number of stations.
Yeah, but maybe that was just coincidence. Na konti pa lang ang merong pera ng patakbo ng ganong karami stations. But suddenly,
Hindi.
di ba, napansin natin there was sudden influx of radio stations all over the place sa Metro Manila.
Panahon ni Gloria.
Nakakagulat yun.
It only started
Ni Gloria.
mushrooming during the time of Gloria Macapagal Arroyo because the NTC allowed it. Si ako daw ang nagahang. Let me see. Mag-reconnect lang ako ha.
Yeah.
Mag-reconnect lang ako
At
ng network.
nung panahon ni Gloria, yung panahon ni Gloria, ang na-appoint noon na commissioner ay tinatawag nating si Gamaliel Cordoba. At coincidentally, ganun din ang nung nagsimula siya ay bigla na lang nagsidami itong mga to. At hanggang ngayon ay siya pa rin. 3 presidente na yan. 1, 2, 3, pang-apat na yan. Pang-apat na presidente ito ngayon na siya pa rin ang NTC. Ngayon, kung ang anak ng presidenteng sumulat nitong 576A ang presidente at hindi tanggalin niyang taong yan, what? Yun yung tanong dyan. What?
What? Okay na ba yung
Yan
signal
yun.
ko? Better na, better. Kopya. Or nagahang pa rin ako. I think tagahang pa rin ako, ano? Yup. Let me
Ako
do
yata
another
yung
reconnect. Nick.
Okay. Kopya-kopya naman. Yeah, that is true. And that is why we do not know which one started the other. Was there hegemony and therefore that's the cause of what we perceive now na gaya-gaya na lang sila, pareho na lang sila ng sinasabi? Or dati ba did we have diversity and suddenly there was this strong insuperable power na parang wala na silang na-hypnotize silang lahat and therefore iisa na lang ang sinasabi nila. But to me, it looks like it's a vicious circle na simulan yan dahil sa economic factor na iilan lang ang may pera na pwedeng magbukas ng mga estasyon at mga networks at yung iilan na yon ay pare-pareho sila ng gustong gawin. Gusto nila na sila lang yung naririnig at napapanood. That is why they are so proud of their number 1 radio station in Metro Manila, number 1 TV network in the entire Philippines. Mga ganyan. Who the cares about that? So long as we can watch you clearly and hear you clearly, people wouldn't really bother which one is number 1. Ang problema niyan kasi, yung mas mayaman na network, mas malinaw. Mas malayo ang nararating. So, siya ngayon yung mas may malaking power to implement a hegemony. Di ba? At kung sino yung mayaman, it almost always necessarily follows in this country na sila rin yung malakas sa politika. So, kung sino yung mayaman, siya ang mas malaking network, kanyang mga kandidato lang ang maririnig at sila lang din ang mananalo.
Namatay
Ganon yun.
Okay. Hindi, naputol ba yung ating signal pareho? Or ako lang yung talagang sobrang hina?
It, I don't know. I just kept talking.
Yeah, no, yeah. But I lost you and I lost myself. Okay.
Have you
Uh,
found yourself?
yep. All right. So now, yes, they are in full control. They are in full control. Okay, wait. This is where the issue of foreign ownership comes into play. Okay, because it did not make any sense for anyone to actually put up so many radio stations and TV stations all over the country. You will remember when it was Eugenio Lopez who was put on the stand in Congress that he claimed to have put up stations where there were 3 million
There
people
were no
being served in the mountains where there were no uh, economic
other radio
uh,
stations.
economic no, ang sabi niya pati there were no other radio stations serving the areas and they were specifically put up with no intention to make money out of these stations because they were really placed there dahil to serve this 3 million unserved population. Yun. Napakagaling
At
po ng kanyang claim.
ang, tapos nung tiningnan namin, inisa-isa namin, wala naman talaga nag-iisang station anywhere in the world, in this country.
Yeah, and none of their stations were in the boondocks or in the So either they are talking about stations that do not exist or they're talking about the 3 million people who do not exist also that they're serving. Kaya nga sabi ko in my post at that time is I can call them devil worshippers, I can call them uneducated, I can call them whatever I like. And I would not be insulting anyone because
Because they do not exist.
They do not exist. You know. Kasi kung sabihin mo na yung mga taga-Baguio, yung kanyang tinutukoy, baka mapugutan ka ng mga taga-Baguio kung sasabihin mo na sila yung mga taga-bundok at wala na silang makuhang ibang signal. Kung sasabihin mo naman na taga-Bukidnon yun, nakakahiya naman. Baka magalit si Senate President Subiri sa'yo. Kung sasabihin mo naman na yun ay yung mga kung saan mang bundok na sinasabi niya, hindi namin talaga alam kung saan bundok yung sinasabi ni Gabi Lopez. Either he does
Sabi
not
pa
know
ni
what
Gabi
he's talking
Lopez,
about.
dagdag pa ni Gabi Lopez, meron daw mga lugar sa Pilipinas na sila lang ang naririnig at napapanood. Nung tiningnan namin yung mga charts ng NTC because there is actually a map and drawings there of gaano yung reach ng bawat station sa buong Pilipinas.
Yep.
There is no place in this country that is only reached by ABS-CBN. There is no place in this country. Ha?
Ma'am Nila, hi. Si Ma'am Nila, nag-hi lang ako.
Ay, may numero na naman. Bakit kaya?
Oo nga eh. Yun. There's no place in this country, that has not reached by any other network other than
na ABS-CBN lang yung That is a complete lie he's saying there. And surprisingly, the congressmen were just like deer in the headlights of a car. Na parang walang reaction. Walang nakakapagsabi, what the hell? That's BS. Diba? Because I am looking at it didn't occur to them to look at the NTC charts and all that, which could be had by simply Googling. Because that's what
Ito pala yun. 3 million ignorant Penoys. Kailan ba to? This was a commentary on the June 3 committee hearing. Act 1, you had me with hello. Oops, merong gusto magsalita. Yi, turn on your devices, turn on your video or your
on mo yan eh.
Yan na naman, matras na naman. Huwag takot.
Matras na yan.
Okay. So, sino nakapanood ng Jerry Maguire? No matter who you are, I'll tell you now, you're an ugly liar. If you claim these words didn't cut through your heart, assuming you watched the movie, of course. Okay. Sabi niya this was the exchange between Marcoleta and Gabi Lopez. Okay. When Marcoleta gave Gabi Lopez the chance to state what makes him deserving of the franchise, Lopez tells us of the 3 million Filipinos who are now deprived of access to information due to the closure of their stations situated in the mountains that were put up intentionally with the full knowledge from the very beginning that there are no viable sources of advertising income from these areas. ABS-CBN did this in the service of the Filipino. Yes, babe. Hmm?
Dapat nakatulog na tayo ng
Yes.
12.
Okay. Excited na yung anak kong umalis. Okay. Matulog na daw ako. Okay, so sabi, no? Dorothy Boyd, you complete na. So, these 3 million Filipinos have been alluded to many times in these past weeks. It must have made Marcoleta look like a fascist terrorist, enemy of free speech. Okay. So we have a list
Oo nga,
that
tapusin
showed
mo na kasi
that there is
matutulog
none.
na daw.
And then,
Tapusin
okay, number 3, the 3 million people now deprived of broadcasting services have no source of information at the height of the COVID-19 pandemic. Kawawa naman itong 3 million, ano? Parang yung 11,000, kawawa din sila. These people are ignorant, uneducated, Stone Age, backward, pagan-worshipping sons and daughters of the gods of the underworld. They do not exist. I can curse 3 million Penoys or balot for that matter and would not violate any law. Diba? But you cannot curse food. Diba? Stake in Congress is ABS-CBN franchise. Diba? In these days, we were just making fun of this whole thing. Kaya, the management of ABS-CBN knew and decided to set up radio or TV stations in the mountains. Ito yung pinaka-importante. This is the regulatory
Kapsya.
that are known from the start to be financially non-viable for the purpose of entertaining the trees and the rocks. And Mr. Lopez is telling us that either they lied to the NTC by making it believe it can generate income, or the NTC did not do its job. Which one is it? Because you are supposed to conduct an economic study, market research, for you to prove that there is a point or there is a basis for you to set up a station. You know. So,
Paano kaya nila
Ito?
ginagawa yun, ano?
calamity,
Paano kaya nila ginagawa
Meron
yun
naman sila
when we were
sinasabi about
putting
that.
up all those stations? Okay.
Yes, yes.
Ang tanong
Sige,
ko,
go,
ang
go.
tanong ko, James, ang tanong ko, paano kaya nila ginawa yun, ano, na when we were putting up the TV and the radio stations of the Catholic Media Network, bawat hearing natin to prove the financial capacity, the technical capacity, and ano pa nga yung isa? Tatlo yan eh.
Financial, technical, and then yung corporate existence, yung
Corporate assistance, oo.
standing, parang ganun. No?
You have to prove those three things convincingly and by substantial evidence. Kami ni JP, hirap na hirap kami kasi ang simbahan, kahit na iniisip natin maraming pera yan dahil nagkapitbay tayo ng mga pera dyan every Sunday and every time na nagsimba,
wala po.
It's very difficult for us to even convince ourselves that yes, we should be allowed to put up radio station in one place in the hinterlands of Visayas or Mindanao. Takot na takot kami. Ako yung abogado niya, siya yung aking testigo. Siya yung mag-represent ng mga ganito ganyan. Tapos ako yung abogado niya. Nakikinig yung hearing officer sa amin. Talagang hirap na hirap kaming i-present yan dahil mahirap ang simbahan eh. Mahirap ang mga tao na sumusuporta sa simbahan doon sa probinsya, at ang requirement ng NTC at saka ng itong batas na ito ay mahirap i-comply, pero kaya naman sana. Kung wala yung mga palcoops na nangingialam to dahil ang laki-laki nila, haharangin ka nila, they will object to your, application of frequency in that place. And kami ako satanista ako, but I am helping the Catholic Church. I feel very bad for the Catholic Church. And for a while there, I thought makipag-peace na nga lang ako sa Diyos para magsama na kami para talunin itong mga lintik na to. Ganun eh. Nakakabwisit.
Sige. But in the meantime, Terne, while you are telling them about you tell them about your own experience being questioned on 576A by the NTC.
Oh, ang
Yeah,
hirap,
kasi
no.
in the meantime, I will try to look for a copy of the 40-page technical working group outcome of the Congress hearing.
Tinanong, luckily for me, because I am like a fucking genius, I found a way to actually, kasi imagine, this is the Catholic Church. And wherever there is a Catholic Church, it is hope na merong radio station doon o may FM station doon, such that if you really think about it, the Catholic Church will violate 576A
With
because it will
50,
be more than 15 stations.
52
It will have
stations.
more than 15 stations all over the country. But no, because we are geniuses and we are the ones who have thought of all these things, we have an answer to that. Every diocese is a
Is a
corporation.
corporation soul.
The bishop is a corporation soul. So, batas na doon nagsasabi, no corporation can own blah,
No
blah, blah,
entity.
more than the entire Philippines. Diba? But no, who owns the radio station in Davao?
It
That
does not
bishop in
own.
Davao.
Yep.
It
He
is
does
not
not
owned
own.
by the entire Catholic Church.
He does not own
He
the
does not
station in
own
Mati.
Mati, in Tagum, he doesn't own that. Other bishops are owning those things. So, the Catholic Media Network does not have any danger of violating this law unless one bishop has so much money as Lopez or Pangilinan. And I don't know why any bishop would even do that anyway. But
And let me
there
tell
it
you
is.
how difficult it is to convince all 52 radio stations owned by different dioceses to just air the rosary at a particular time of the day. Na magkasundo kayo lahat tayo mag-air tayo ng rosary ng alas 5 ng umaga. You
Samay-samay.
cannot get the commitment of everyone because there's different owners of each station. Catholic Church yan and we're talking about airing the rosary.
The Catholic
Yan.
Church, it seems to me, now is more diverse than the Philippines. The Catholic Church in the Philippines is more informationally diverse than this country under the broadcast networks of this country. Kasi doon sa Catholic Media Network, iba-iba ang may-ari ng FM radio, AM radio, at iba-iba yung gusto nilang mangyari dyan. Iba-iba ang gusto nilang sabihin dyan. And you know, it's exciting to look at that part of the Catholic Church because it tries to get at par to get at par with the rest of the world, and suddenly you realize you are better than the rest of the world in that sense. But there you go. That is the sour truth about it.
Okay, I will just see if this is complete because the technical working group report. Oh my God, why can't I find it? Saan ba talaga to? Sige nga, help us find it nga. Okay, what am I trying to find? This one. Okay, there is, I used to have a copy of this but I can't find it anymore, all right? There is a technical working group output of this Committee on Good Governance and Public Accountability and the Franchise Committee application from
Makatuklas it.
2020, okay, from 2020. And this TWG report is, I think, 40 pages thick. Okay, and I cannot find a copy anymore. It answers whether the American citizenship of Eugenio Lopez is an issue in ownership, and what is their opinion on the PDRs. Okay, what is their opinion on the 50-year limit on franchises, and the return of the ABS-CBN to the Lopez family of martial law, which we actually discussed as one of the bases that are in law not allowed to be given any permit anymore. Okay, and whether it was legal for it to run the TV Plus and the KBO pay-per-view, Okay, about their relationship with Amkara owning two different franchises, failure to regularize its employees and their employee abuses, tax avoidance, invasion reporting, inappropriate program content, and political meddling. So, can you please find a copy of this 40-page TWG report? Because now I couldn't find any anymore. I do not know why. There is one copy in one of the sites nila Kabahog Chua or related to DWIZ, but ang hirap naman i-scan kasi yung ano siya yung naka-embed sa loob ng ano. I do not know how to get it out. Okay? Sabi lang dito kasi, the TWG report exhaustively discussed the following: citizenship, the possible violation of constitutional prohibition against ownership, okay, numerous violations of its terms of legislative franchise, and questionable and just not, if not immoral, tax avoidance schemes, and the apparent use of a dummy, and less than exemplary labor practices. Yung sabi. Eh, sabi nila. That's why they actually dismissed the application for franchise. So right now, what we have in Congress are two applications or two bills for the renewal or issuance of a new franchise to ABS-CBN. These two bills, okay. First one was filed by Raul, no, Raul. Yeah. And the other one is by Johnny Pimentel. Who is Johnny Pimentel? Who knows Johnny Pimentel? I don't. Let's see. Who is he? House members. Pimentel. Pimentel Johnny P. Oh, Surigao. So he has filed for 3-1 granting ABS-CBN, and he's also filing for the act postponing the barangay elections and Bislig, converting Bislig Hospital, barangay. Magaling to, maisipag kung congressman na to. Into alienable and disposable land. Galing, oh. Long-term farmers, occupants. Wow. Alam niyo to, ng mga ganitong klase mga bills. Yan yung mga bills na nagkakaroon ng mga lupa ng mga congressman. Wow. Wow. Ano gad? Hindi ko siya kilala. Ano ba itong picture para makita natin? Yeah. Basta, his first act is to file for the renewal of the ABS-CBN franchise. Naunahan niya pa si Raul. Siya yung pinakauna actually. And the explanation daw is, has been key leader in television and radio programming in both domestic and international audiences since its inception in the last century. It has entered many Filipino homes in delivering media content to report news from around the Philippines and across the globe. In the major events, turning points in Philippine history, ABS-CBN Public Affairs has ceaselessly apprised the Filipino nation of the news that it needed to know. Did it appraise you? The news that you needed to know? Adrian Gamon, join me. Adrian, invite kita ulit Adrian ikaw madaya ka Here Adrian, hindi ka makakalagpas. Ano sabi? Catholic radio stations are different dioceses have different. Yes, that's true. But ABS-CBN has one editorial policy. Okay? The news and public affairs programs of ABS-CBN serve as the only avenue for crucial and relevant information for a great number of our countrymen. Sus, kawawa naman talaga itong mga nakakaya. It is the source of information in the most far-flung areas of our country. 3 million, they're so kawawa. Keeping its far reaches up to date with the relevant happenings. Wow, it should be noted by Congress that the cessation of the ABS-CBN broadcast operation has caused particular hardship. Hardship! Hardship! Do you have, Adrian, the TWG report? Please send it to me. Hardship! Hardship! It was true in the case of Typhoon Odette. Odette. In the late 2021. Teka, ano ba ito, Odette? 2021. Ano nangyari nung Odette? Due to lack of accessible information in warning the Filipino people. Hala, hindi nag-work ang pag-asa? Si Martin Andanar may kasalanan yan. Ha?
Bakit naman?
Hindi, si Martin Andanar may kasalanan yan. Hindi niya in-inform yung mga Pilipino na may Odette. This is also true for our people during other previous typhoons and emergencies that occurred, where lack of immediate accessible information was the circumstance. The circulation of important information in times of calamity prevents fatalities and saves lives. Uy, life-saving pala talaga itong ABS-CBN. Ano? Those areas of the Philippines which rely only on broadcast signal were left without needed news. Effectively cut off from critical information. Oh my God. Oh my God. In the past 2 years, we were ushered in a new normal state. Today, we stand in the crossroads in the normalization of state of affairs living. Huh? In the
Whatever.
normalization of the state of affairs living? Congressman? I-edit mo naman to, Congressman. Grabe ka naman. For many of our countrymen, a weather of uncertainty beckons. What? Pang ilang paragraph lang to, Congressman? Congressman naman eh. Pang paragraph lang. Wala na sa grammar lahat.
Si Raul ba yan?
Hindi. Johnny Pimentel. More than ever, the Filipinos need to be apprised with the current situation. Yeah, and you also need to be taught how to write English. The cessation of a broadcasting network that has been one in keeping the public informed is surely a disservice to the Filipino people. A functioning and effective democracy is based on an informed citizenry unbridled by silence. Let us stand to ensure that the Filipino people, even in the farthest of locations in the boondocks with the 3 million rocks and trees, are always kept informed of the news and occurrences that directly affect their way of life. Maybe in the third dimension.
I-explain natin kung anong ibig sabihin ng prefatory statement, explanatory note.
Yan. Sige. Ikaw, galing kang Kongreso.
Yung explanatory note is a whole bunch of nonsense. It does not make it into the law. It is not even considered in passing the law. It is just really an opportunity for the author or for the suggester to say so much BS about the thing that he is trying to do. But all this drama and all this, they could be telling complete lies and it wouldn't matter. That is why they are allowed to do that.
But you get a lot of meat about the way the congressman thinks, di ba? So and then all the franchises actually have almost the same tenor, all right? It's a cut and paste thing. Teka. Ano bang ginagran? Tingnan natin lang kasi dito nagbabago-bago yan. Franchise to construct, install, establish, operate, maintain commercial purposes in public interest radio and or television broadcasting stations in the Philippines. where frequencies and/or channels are still available for radio and/or television broadcasting, including digital television system through microwave, satellite, or whatever means, for the use of any new technology in television and radio systems, for the corresponding technological auxiliaries and facilities for the broadcasting. Alright. It sounds standard naman. Yeah.
What is this franchise na to?
ABS-CBN.
Bill, yung bill.
Bill. New bill. In this
Yung
Congress.
10, yung 10.
Ha?
Yung 10, section 10.
Yeah. Shall not sell, lease,
Section 9,
transfer.
section 9 muna.
Okay.
Yan. Okay. Section 10 ang importante.
Anong or 83 injuries? Ano ba to?
Mali yan. Yung 83 is a number of the number of letters siguro yan or the words.
Hoy, Congressman, may sis ka nga, mag-file ka ng bill, ayusin mo. Whether
yan,
the
footnote
property
siguro.
or persons caused by the construction or operations 84 of the same station's grantee. Ano ba to, Congressman? Hinayin mo pa ito sa Kongreso?
Yung section 10 ang importante.
The grantee shall not sell this, transfer, grant, use of, nor assign this franchise. With the right and privileges acquired thereunder, 20% from company, corporation, commercial, legal entity, nor merge with any other corporation or entity, nor shall transfer the controlling interest of the grantee, whether as a whole or in part, or whether simultaneously or contemporaneously to any such person, firm, company, corporation, with entity without the prior approval of Congress. Ito yung tinatalak ni Congressman Marco Leita. Di ba?
Tingnan mo.
Hindi nagpaalam. Ayan, ikaw. Sige, go.
The grantee shall not sell, that's 1. Lease, that's 2. Transfer, that's 3. Grant, usufruct, that's 4. Nor assign the franchise or the rights and privileges acquired under the end and person, blah, blah, blah. That's 5. Number 6. Nor merge with any other corporation or entity, nor shall transfer. 7. The controlling interest of the grantee, whether as a whole or in part, or whether simultaneously or contemporaneously to any such person, blah, 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 blah. That's 7 things that they are not allowed to do. Only one of those, okay?
That they do
Only one of those that they do
without
has a requirement of transfer of controlling interest of the grantee. Controlling interest. All the others, wala yang modifier na controlling interest. Diba? Doon lang yan sa nor shall transfer the controlling interest of the grantee, whether as a whole or in part or simultaneously or contemporaneously. So ibig sabihin, hindi pwedeng mag-sell ng franchise or ng rights under that franchise. Hindi pwedeng mag-lease ng franchise or rights under that franchise. Blah, 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 to each one of those. Or, okay, or,
asan yung or mo? Or, ito.
yan, or
whether
commercial, nor merge with any other corporation or entity. Yung merger na yan is not qualified or conditioned on whether or not the merger involves controlling interest. There's nothing to do, it's nothing to do with the next one, which is nor shall transfer the controlling interest of the grantee. That's the only thing, transfer of a controlling interest of the grantee. So yung merger, doesn't matter kung gaano kalaki yung kinuha ng ABS-CBN sa Channel 5. If they say it's a merger, it's probably hit by this provision if they did not seek the consent.
The prior approval of Congress. Provided
so,
that
nasa na yan si Terry Ridon, nagsasabing wala daw pakialam dapat ang gobyerno dito dahil hindi naman daw siya tungkol sa ownership. Ano hindi tungkol sa ownership eh? Di ba? 35 percent of ABS-CBN is Channel 5 is bought, and then in 5 years ba yun? Or in 10 years magiging 49% na ang pag-may-ari niya.
ito kasi yung problema. Kasi they have 60 days after the completion of said transaction. Here.
So meron pa silang 6 days within
They can actually inform them now because we are now making talak-talak about this, so they can inform Congress.
yes, but Terry Ridon is really just once they do that, Terry Ridon goes down the drain and will no longer be credible talking about all of these things.
Okay. Wait. It says here they cannot do it without prior approval of Congress. Prior
Yep.
approval. And
Yep,
after they
prior,
are given
before.
prior approval, they now merge.
Nag-report.
And then after they merge, they have 60 days to report. Okay,
Yep.
hindi yon
So those are two
nangangahulugan. Okay, hindi yun nangangahulugan na they can merge and then report 60 days after and then ask for approval. No. It says here prior approval before they merge, and after they merge, they report within 60 days.
That's the one.
Okay?
So si Terry Ridon, brother,
Congressman yan siya dati, di ba? Makabayan Black.
congressman.
Makabayan Black.
Abogado din yata yun siya. Ay, mag-aral ka, Brad. Basahin mo to.
Abogado ba yun? Alam
Oo,
ko hindi eh.
abogado yan.
Hindi ako. Abogado yan? Okay. Ano ba yung block na inano niya sa Makabayan? Ni-represent. Kabataan din ba yan? Kabataan din yan? Kasamahan ba yan
I
ni
think so.
Raul?
Kasama yan. I think kasama. Pero siya daw yung convener ng
May ano eh.
Infra Watch.
Wala, it's an organization that sounded like a French or European sounding. Okay? So, failure to
Okay naman
report.
yung mga okay naman yung mga advocacies ng InfraWatch. It's good. It's a social thing and maganda. Pero when he talks about ABS-CBN and ABC5, he does not know what he's talking about.
Mm-hmm. Well, he was also vocal about the issue of veto screen.
Again, he does not know what he's talking about. When we killed that story from its inception. Nagtanong pa lang ng unang tanong yung nahuli na kaagad natin.
Veto screen. Veto screen.
Pinalata na kaagad natin siya doon pa lang di wala na. Patay na yung story
Yan. Failure to submit requisite annual report. Ang laki pala ng fine, 500 pesos per working day of non-compliance. Per working day. Okay, so yan yung prangkisa na ina-apply ni kagalang-galang na honorable sino to? Si Johnny Pimentel. Yung isa naman, 431, 432. Ngayon, ba't na tayo pumunta kay Johnny Pimentel ang kanyang Yes. Okay. Sorry. Okay, wait lang. Sorry. Hanapin natin yung kay Raul. No?
Raul.
Ano ba pa-apelido ni Raul?
Si.
Bata? Ha?
Si.
Apelido ni Raul? Ha?
Si.
Hindi. Raul, ano ba ang apelido ni Raul? M?
Si nga. Si. Ra.
Letter C? Si Raul. Raul. Yun, Manuel. Raul. 1,000 something yung kay Raul eh. Marami siyang final Busy si Raul Strengthening the right of people of free expression peaceably assembled to petition government for redress of grievances including for the purpose batas naman sa bilang ATT Public Assembly Act 1985. Wow!
Ano yan, i-amin niya yung Constitution because the Constitution already grants that completely.
Upgrading salary, teachers, security tenure, granting subsidy, providing medical examination treatment allowance for the public school teacher. Masipag si Raul
Masipag naman niya talaga siya.
Anak, providing for transparent alternative manual automation election system. Uy! Magkasangga tayo ni Raul dito.
Ginaya yung baka kaibigan to ni ating kaibigang si
Glenn Chong?
Attorney Glenn Chong. Kasi di ba yun yung sinabi ni Glenn Chong?
I-discuss nyo to ni Glenn
Hybrid.
Chong. Hybrid election ata ito.
Hybrid.
Free expression.
Pero walang problema, hindi natin kung kinopin yan, okay lang. Kakampi natin siya dyan.
Gusto ko to. Ensure that the party list system is reserved for the marginalized. Yan. Di ba?
I agree. Hindi yung anting-anting, agimat, panday, party list.
Yun.
Hindi ko maintindihan yung mga yun eh.
Shape the opening of schools in appropriate funds. Sige, fight lang doon, fight lang doon. Financial subsidized education costs providing... Oh, ang galing pala to si Rola. Kaya nga sabi
Teka
natin.
muna.
Oh,
Ano ba yan? Kasi may libre ng college education Anong hinihingi?
oh ito. Anak, repealing the anti-terror law. Bahala siya dyan. Okay. Bahala ka dyan. They,
Try.
upholding academic freedom of all academic institutions. Ayos.
Ano yan? Bill yan? Bill?
Bills
O
niya.
resolution?
Bills filed ni Raul.
Kasi the freedom of academic freedom is completely granted by the Constitution.
Gusto ko to. Promoting critical media and information literacy in the Philippines and prescribing its enhanced inclusion in the educational system and curriculum in the Philippines.
Oh, I agree with that. I like that.
I agree with that. Para makita natin kung gaano tayo niloloko ng mga mass media.
I like that.
Rights and fundamental freedom, human rights. Gusto mo i-defend. Human rights defender. Gusto mo i-define. Okay.
Ano yan? Defining
Gusto
rights
niya,
and fundamental freedom. Nilimit mo na ngayon yan because the international convention on
Gusto niya nga
human
palitan
rights.
ng UN.
Papalitan niya yung UN. Dapat sa UN siya nag-file yan siguro.
Okay.
Students' rights.
Ito. An act imposing a super rich tax. Individuals value as exceeding 1 billion pesos.
That is ridiculous.
You're like Joe Biden
Super rich tax. Ano yan naman? Liberal na lang lingwahe.
Diretso na tayo sa ABS-CBN. Marami, 1,000. 1,000
Ano mo,
yan.
control F ka, mag-control F tapos type
Hindi.
ABS.
Gusto kong makita kung gaano karami. 1,000. Okay, 1,000. Yun, bilis, Texas 5. Okay. Explanatory note.
Another BS.
Renew niya yung non-existent
So, there is
franchise.
nothing to renew. This is a fresh application, Mr. Raul.
Raul. Okay. One of the largest and oldest networks in the Philippines was shut down in 2020. Not
And
with an
suddenly he
unrenewal
wants
of
to
congressional
renew it.
franchise, but because the then highest political power in the land used the presidential powers to tell Congress to revoke it. The ABS-CBN network was pushed off there, forced to sign off with a vote of 7-11 and a personal feud, the circumstances of which are entirely admitted by the president himself. Dun, 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 dun. The employees, talents, media actors, and actresses, and millions of television viewers all over the country have expressed their concern on the shutdown of ABS-CBN broadcasting network. No doubt, there is broad support for the Kapamilya Network among the Filipino people. For instance, the online petition initiated by the NUJP that calls for the House of Representatives to grant ABS-CBN a franchise renewal readily gathered in just 3 days more than 120,000 signatures. So what? And what does the NUJP have to do with broadcast? Sabi nga dito sa Presidential Decree 576,
No.
there is two media. 576 not 576A. 576 lang. There are two organizations. One for print and one for broadcast. NUJP is for print. Pakialam nila dito sa broadcast. Anyway, Raul, lagi ba sabi dito? Yan. The ABS-CBN shutdown caused the judge of... Uy! Nagbago na, hindi na 11,000.
6,000 na lang kumonte. What the heck?
Pero pag i-add mo
Hindi na-
siguro yan, 6,730 daw regular employees, 900
Ay, oo,
non-regular
6,000
workers, and 3,225 talents. Pag i-add mo siguro yan, 11,000.
11 nga, mukha nga.
Oh, 11,000 pa rin.
11 nga. Magaling mag-math ito si Raul.
Hindi totoo to ha. I-fact-check nyo to. I-fact-check nyo yan. Hindi totoo yan. Yet an even bigger ripple of the ABS-CBN shutdown is its cost to freedom of the press, in particular to democracy in the country. President Rodrigo Duterte repeatedly expressed his personal ire against the network and vowed to vigorously block the renewal of its franchise. He even openly advised the owners of the network to just sell it, right? Raising legitimate concerns over the possible takeover of the network by administration allies. Final days down, blah, blah, blah. The president is personally picked is certainly a minuscule and inappropriate reason in the face of the thousands that will be out of job. Its network will be out of the airwaves and its dire implication of press freedom, particularly in those critical of the present administration.
Yeah, it's a lot of BS. It's false, it's misleading, and it's misinformation. But mabuti na lang, fortunately for us, explanatory notes really are not intended to mean anything.
But what
So,
can you say
they
about
can-
this coming from a congressman or three congressmen for that
He's full of-
matter?
he is full of BS.
Huh? That the non-renewal of the franchise, huh,
Hmm.
can be construed as an act against the Constitution. Huh? Ibig sabihin, if I
Constitutionally
apply for,
protected freedoms.
if Adrian and I and JJ Barr and Jose Silvestre will go to Congress and apply for a franchise, we cannot be denied a franchise because it will violate the Constitution.
Oh, this guy is ridiculous.
Judikat, sumali ka para lima tayo. Lima. Kasi kailangan lima. No law shall be passed. Oh my God. When you call yourselves congressmen, you live in a time that democracy is walking on knife's edge. Can you walk on knife's edge, Adrian? Authoritarianism once again on the rise. Disinformation, fake news, historical amnesia reign. Oh no. In times like this,
Right.
you need a juicy program. Huh?
Oh, ikaw yung fake news eh.
In times like this, you need a juicy. Democratic institutions, such as the press, are in battle. If the environment is such that media outlets are shuttered rather than allowed to be robust and independent, where truth is muted and turned off rather than broadcast, then our democratic spaces are shrinking indeed. Yes, Maria Ressa, please listen. Stop restricting Luminous lang and Wandang Taki. This is a challenge for Congress to define the
Plus Castro naman
rising
pala ang sumulat
tyranny,
nito eh. Kaya pala
stand
ridiculous
for
eh.
freedom and democracy. It's
Ay,
urgent. Hindi. Tinan mo. Ito nagsulat. Kasi tinan mo walang blank. Ibig sabihin, nung dinraft niya to, hindi na siya, pipirma na siya. Binlank niya muna itong dalawa kasi hindi pa siya. Bella yan.
Anong walang, walang linya?
Ano mo? Nirman yan.
Ah,
Diba?
si Brosas ang sumulat niyan?
Brosas.
Si Raul. Si Brosas.
Brosas.
Crash Evidencio yan eh.
Ba't
For
umuli?
some,
Hindi. Ito na yung ano. Ito yung ano, nature and scope.
iba-ibang version nila. Iba-iba nilang
Hindi,
version.
ito yung scope daw.
Dito, interesting to ah. Super franchise tong hinihingi nila eh. Ayan, no? Including the use of new technologies in television and radio systems. Or whatever. Overbroad.
Ooh, special broadcast and broadcast distribution services.
Wow, ah.
Broadcast through microwave, satellite, digital.
Okay lang yan. Pero yung ano, yung including a new technologies in television, what? Paano mo nagiging franchise? And a franchise is something that is definite because the resource is supposed to be finite, and here you are giving out a franchise that would allocate such other things that as would be discovered in the future. Such other things in a finite resource.
Look at this. Television and radio broadcast stations in and throughout the Philippines. Isn't this worded? No. It is worded, really, to violate Presidential Decree number 576A.
6A. Exactly.
Diba?
So super franchise kasi yung hinihingi nila dyan for ABS-CBN.
Because
Start.
576A says, di ba, na hindi dapat nako-cover ng isang, walang hegemony dapat. Di ba?
And sinasabi nga ni Ferdinand Marcos yun sa batas na yan is that because the resource which is ano yan, di ba, yung broadcast is a site ano ba yan? Line of sight transmission.
Line of sight and power kumbaga, coverage area.
Yes. So line of sight yan. So it is impossible for one station in Metro Manila to reach even
The whole country.
Whole country. So that franchise under that provision is completely ridiculous. But
Okay.
they can justify that once it is already granted. They can justify putting up many stations to circumvent 576A. That is how malicious these people are.
Congratulations, Adrian. Suspended for 1 week.
Ako nga, katatapos lang kahapon eh.
Okay, for the sake of the newcomers, Attorney Ahmed, for the sake of the newcomers, let us just review what is 576A, which is our topic for tonight. Okay, and we're almost gonna be done. 576A was issued in 1974, November 11. Okay, the title of this law. This is a law. This is not an executive order. This is a law regulating the ownership and operation of radio and television stations and for other purposes. It reads, Adrian, ikaw nga magbasa nito. Whereas, sali ka na kasi ba? The President of the Philippines is empowered under the Constitution to review and approve franchises for public utilities. It has been observed that some public utilities, especially radio and television stations, have a tendency towards monopoly in ownership. That is what is being sought to be avoided. An operation to such an extent that a region or section of the country may be covered by any number of such broadcast stations, all or most which are owned, operated, or managed by one person or corporation. This is what is sought to be, this is the evil sought to be avoided. Whereas radio is the chief vehicle of dissemination of information, being the source, as surveys have shown in 1974 to 86% of all information of public television is becoming similarly pervasive. And now the current data would suggest a reversal between the radio and television influence. Whereas the deep penetration that radio and television thus makes into the public consciousness gives them the responsibility of assisting the government to promote and safeguard public welfare. On account of the limited number of frequencies available for broadcasting in the Philippines, it is necessary to regulate the ownership and operation of radio and television stations and provide measures that would enhance quality and viability of broadcasting to help serve the public interest. Now, the father of our president issued this law. No radio and television channel may obtain a franchise unless it has sufficient capital on the basis of equity for its operation for at least 1 year, including the purchase of equipment. Every radio and television channel shall allocate at least 2 hours program. And this is a public service programs. Section 3. No person or corporation may own, operate, or manage more than one radio or television station in one municipality or city, nor more than 5 AM and 5 AM FM radio stations, nor more than 5 television channels in the entire country. No radio or television station shall be utilized by any single interest group to disseminate information or otherwise influence the public or the government to serve or support the aims of such group. So for our latecomers, this is the law that has not been repealed. Any person or corporation which owns more than the number of radio or television stations authorized in the preceding section shall divest itself of the excess stations or channels. Any excess station shall be sold through the Bureau of Telecommunications. Failure to divest, as provided in the foregoing section, shall, in addition to penalties provided in Section 6, subject person or corporation guilty of such failure to cancellation of the franchise. Yun. So, tama talaga. Lisod mo debate basta na ay nakasite sa batas mismo. Correct. Kaya yung si Kikoy ba yun? Kiko. Finish. Ah, ah. Debate.
Yung pare Koy,
Si
papuntahin natin
Parekoy.
dito.
Parekoy.
Ipapasa natin sa kanya to allowed.
Parekoy. This decree shall take effect immediately. Hindi nga si President ng nagpirma niya, no? Juan Tubera.
Which later on owned the GMA7.
No. Tape production. With
Tape. Vic Soto. Sino Vic? Sino Marvic?
hindi, si ano? Halusos.
Halos.
Ano, tubig ah. Come on.
Yan yun, mga friends. Yan yun. Matagal na namin pinagsisigawan to nung panahon pa lang ng ABS-CBN. We understand why NTC would not want to be the one to say these things because sila rin ang mayayari dahil hindi nila inimplement to ng maayos. But Pilipino tayo at tayo yung sumusunod sa batas at pag hindi tayo sumunod sa batas, makukulong tayo, pinagbabayad tayo ng mahal. Tapos itong mga mayayaman na korporasyon, they can just get away with this. And they keep talking about
Freedom of
through their
speech.
mouthpiece, Maria Ressa, they keep talking about suppression of freedoms, breakdown of institutions, such similar bullshit like that. They are the ones saying all of these things and saying impunity, and yet here we are confronted with impunity, and Maria Ressa seems to be so completely ignorant of this. Or
They know this. They know that they can just abuse this law. Diba? They can just do whatever they like because anyway, they have now had that hegemony and that no one has the capacity of bringing this information to more than 10% of the population.
sabi ni Judicat, Tony Tuviera pala daw yung may-ari ng tape, hindi si Tuvera. Minus
Tubera
I.
yun. Iba pala yun, iba pala. So, sino itong Tubera na to?
Hindi ko alam kung sino yan. But mapapansin, no? Itong mga PD ni President Marcos Sr. ay hindi lagi siya ang pumipirma. Minsan si Enrile, minsan si Blas Ople, minsan si sino yung kanyang economist?
Cesar Berata.
Cesar Berata, yung iba-iba.
Lolo ni Carlo.
But yes, but they are all PDs and they have the force of law in the Philippines.
Okay, so this bill is already in the Legislative Franchises Committee. Okay, and also that one by who is this? Pimentel, Johnny Pimentel, no? Let's just check, Pimentel.
Humihingi din ba si Pimentel ng super franchise?
Hindi ganun. Normal yung kanyang tenor.
Matino,
It's also
matino ito si Pimentel.
in the Committee on Legislative Franchises. Okay. The Committee on Legislative Franchises. Where is the session? Okay. Is scheduled to hear tomorrow. To meet tomorrow. Supposedly, daw it was going to be made public, but now no longer public. Closed the door down. They're going to meet tomorrow, and meetings tomorrow is the 18th, right? Here. There. Legislative franchises agenda 2 p.m. The agenda is to consideration of the committee internal rules. They're going to talk about what are we going to disclose to the public this time, guys. Last time we were okay. Umiyak sila ka last time. So this is it. It's gonna be tomorrow. So watch out and maayong gabi sa inyong tanan and ano pa ba? Merging
Gaglang salamat po.
Merging, nabasa na ba ang contract? Next time yan. Dito muna tayo kay ABS.
Excited ka masyado.
Let's do it slow by slow. Huwag natin siyang biglain. Lisod mo, diba, Teo? Ano pa ba? May mga comments pa tayo
Yung
dito. Hindi naman.
ABS-CBN, hindi naman kinancel yung kanilang di ba? Yung kanilang charter as a corporation, yung Rappler lang.
Ano yun? Sir? Ano yung question
Yung
mo?
charter ng ABS-CBN, any of their corporations, hindi naman na-cancel yung kanilang charter, di ba? Yung kanilang certificate
With the
of
SEC?
incorporation.
No.
Oh,
No.
hindi.
Only,
Yung
sabi
Rappler
niya
lang.
dyan? You're so right. Ang batas ay batas.
Actually,
Sabi.
that is not surprising. Kasi it's part of the tactics and strategy of Marx and Lenin, especially Lenin, to exploit everything. And if it can exploit the oligarchs with promises of we will make you part of the Politburo or the petit bourgeois of our new communist state, they can exploit the existing oligarchy, and that's still within the military tactics and the political tactics of socialism and communism. Okay lang yan. Basta siguraduhin lang natin na once you are identified with a communist insurgency, then you will always be so identified such that when war breaks out, you know which side you are in.
Yun. And yung foreign ownership and foreign capital is very destructive sa ating industriya ng broadcast. It's not a simple question of just disregarding yung constitutional prohibition. No. Those as Marcoleta correctly said in his privileged speech, at pinasok niya sa loob ng 10 minutes na binigay ng speaker. Di ba? That brazen move using PDRs to trample with that constitutional prohibition, hindi yan dapat i-tolerate. Okay? And Marcoleta is on the right track. We should support him. In fact, we should help him get the right acquisition. Sino pa sinasabi mo, Tatiana, na nasabihan ng mag-aral ka tuloy?
Si Terry Ridon.
Ito, Typhoon Odette. Ay, gusto nyo itong Typhoon. Ito yung gawin natin ending. Ha? Sige. Kasi medyo gabi na tayo. Tama na tayo sa 2 hours. Panoorin nyo ito. I will check the video. I think this is the one. So good night na sa inyo. And sana yung mga natutuwa sa aming pinagagagawa ngayon ay nakikita niyo natin Gcash number.
May troll na naman.
Saan yan?
Yaman lang.
Yan. Yung troll na yan, ito na lang panoorin mo, troll. So our Gcash number is there. Thank you and good night. Sana marami ka natutunan. Saan na ba? Uy! Ay, hindi pa pala. Sharing pa pala. Sorry. Sige, hintayin natin ng konti kasi mabigat ata ito eh. This one also has something to do with typhoons. And this is Zarate's closing speech in Congress. Panoorin po ninyo. Napakaganda po ni Zarate dito. At binara natin siya point by point.
Mayo 5 po ng kasalukuyang taon nang biglang pinatigil ng National Telecommunications Commission ang pagbo-broadcast ng ABS-CBN. Makaraan ang 10 araw, dumating sa ating kapuluan ang Bagyong Ambo. Sinabi po ni Leo Gipalaga ng Artiche Samar na ginutay-gutay ng bagyo. Ito po ang kanyang tinuran. Kayo pa lamang, ABS-CBN, ang nakarating dito na media. Kahit anong media, wala pang nakapunta dito.
Ito nga, nakakalungkot dahil ngayon, naggrabing paghahanda namin, grabing namin sa COVID, sa COVID crisis, patas ito.
Naglandfall ang Bagyo Ambo habung tuhan San Policarpo din Eastern
There
Samar.
is
Kanginahan alas 12
station
kilisihan
in there.
udto. Bayulente nga uuran ngan makusog nga hangin ang darahan eyewall han makaigo inihan tuna. Ha mga buong tuhan norte nga partihan Eastern Samar, temprano pahan aga han mahireport nira ang makusog nga hangin ngan uuran. Habung tuhan oras, igin pahayag ni Mayor Vivian Alvarez nga temprano pa niya igin mando an evacuation. Labinahan mga residentes nga nangungukoy ang mga lugar, haranihin mga dagat ngan salog. Dituhin mga barangays nga barahaon, sugad man ang mga mulupyo nga nangungukoy dituhin mga balay nga himulahin mga light materials. Igin doon pa ni Mayor Alvarez nga may ada na Manira food assistance parahan mga tao nga ikakadtuhan mga evacuation centers. Habod nga hini, ginsisiguro nira nga mababantayan iton mga camp areas para naman masunod iton mga protocol nga igin papasunod iton Department of Health.
Ang kwentong ito ay nauulit hindi lamang 10, hindi lamang 100, o 1,000 beses.
Oh, they have
Sa loob po
missing
ng
stations,
mahigit
dalawa.
na 60 taon, andun na ang ABS-CBN sa lahat ng kalamidad. Sila ay naghahatid ng balita, nangunguna magbigay ng relief and rehabilitation. Ginagamit ang media para makapangalap ng donasyon para sa mas mabilis na pagbangon ng ating mga kababayang nasalanta.
Donasyon! Yun ang kwentong bagyo, kwentong ABS-CBN na wala daw ibang media. Samantala ngayon, meron local media doing coverage while ABS-CBN was doing a remote coverage from Manila. Iyan ang in the service of the people.
Sinungaling! Rock, 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 rock!
Rock tayo! Yan lang. Saan yung rock